What up, y'all? I'm back, Mr. Zoo Nation, aka Savage Armor General Giraffe. Alright, so I wanted to do an update and basically explain why I've been gone, and then at the same time, what is the future for this channel and everything else like that. So with all that being said, let's get this started. Alright, so why I've been gone? I've been gone for a lot of reasons and everything else like that. A lot of it has to do with work-related issues, equipment-related issues, and at the same time, health-related issues, sadly. But I think I'm okay. More likely, I'm going to be focusing on trying to revive this channel and do everything else like that. And I've been going for like at least like 3 years and everything else like that. So interesting enough, right? I should be on a regular schedule, maybe making like 2 to 3 videos a week and everything else like that. But regardless of all that, I am back in black. I don't know what else to say really, but anyway, let's talk about what I have in store for this channel. So when I originally started this channel, I wanted to basically throw my hat into the ring of Vanguard content creators, because while Vanguard content creators is a pretty large pool and everything else like that around the time that I started like 8-9 years ago, at the same time it's not as big as YouTubers, it's not as big as Magic the Gathering or anything else like that. And because of that, you know, I wanted to like throw my hat in the ring, give like a little bit more content and everything else like that. However, there is a certain issue that I went through as I was thinking about reviving this channel. I like other card games. I want to talk more about other card games. I want to play other card games and do content for other card games. But at the same time, I don't want to give up doing Cardfight Vanguard content. So I was thinking that maybe I turn this into a full TCG channel instead of a full Vanguard channel. Now, granted, I'm still going to be having Cardfight Vanguard as my main focus. However, I'm going to be talking more about other card games instead. But of course, like I said, Vanguard's gonna be my main focus. But let's talk about how I'm going to structure this, right? Because I can't like just randomly do every card game in existence and just like pull out random ass videos. Basically what I have is a primary card game list and a secondary card game list. The primary card game list are card games that I play enough and is more comfortable enough talking about and doing content for. The secondary ones are card games that I play. I might talk about them, but at the same time, I either don't play them too often or I don't know enough to really justify making heavy content on these said card games. Obviously there's like a one card game that's an exception to the rule, but that's just me. Anywho, so what do we got on the primary list? So obviously Cardfight Vanguard is definitely going to be on that list. The second one is going to be White Swords, because I did pick up White Swords during the pandemic. I liked the game very much that I actually wanted to do content for White Swords for a while. And it's kind of sort of in the same reason as I wanted to do Vanguard content, but I don't necessarily know where to start. So we'll pretty much cross that bridge when we cross it, right? The third one is going to be Magic the Gathering, but let's be real, it's going to be all Commander format because it's the main format that I play. Obviously, I know there's like a bunch of Commander YouTubers and everything else like that. throwing my hat into the ring of Magic the Gathering is not really going to make too much of a difference, but I would like to talk a lot about the contents of Magic in general, considering it is one of the major card games that I like, play and whatnot. Last but not least is going to be an interesting one, is going to be the Digimon TCG. The reason why it's an interesting one is because I did start the Digimon TCG around the time the Mastemon starter deck came out. That was like when I started playing Digimon and everything else like that. But because of my work schedule, I didn't necessarily get a chance to play into tournaments often and everything else like that. And I basically wanted to take like the opportunity to not only, arrive back into Digimon, but also use my content as like a learning experience. So I'll be basically learning the game as everything is going, as I'm doing all this content and everything else like that. So I guess like most of the Digimon content is pretty much going to be me going through like the learning process and everything else like that. On the other hand, for the secondary games, I only have like, I think 3, So the first one is Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game that I stick around. I keep up with like the meta and everything else like that, but at the same time, I don't play the game often enough to really justify like making like heavy content on the game. So it's up in the air, but at the same time, I'm not really going to do too much Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. On the other hand, there's also One Piece, which is a card game that I play a lot too, but I don't play enough to really justify, making content and everything else like that. Again, it's just one of those card games that I play often, but I only play it when, I don't necessarily go out my way to play it per se, but I play it enough to like understand like the contents and whatnot. Last but not least is a card game that I do want to get into, which is Gundam. I definitely want to get into the Gundam TCG. I don't know if I'm going to be making content for Gundam, but I would like to make content on my experience playing the Gundam TCG and everything else like that. But with all that being said, what are the type of videos that I'm going to continue making? Okay, so I am going to keep making the deck building theory. I am going to keep making deck building theory. That's just going to be one of like the major ones. The haters guide is also something that I'm going to be continuously making, but I think the issue with the haters guide is I might change the name, because the lore behind the name is that I actually got the inspiration from another YouTuber that I watched called The Urinating Tree, which is basically like a sports commentator YouTuber and everything else like that. And he does have a thing called like the Haters Guide, which is not like 100% his though, but I kind of think that I should change the name eventually. I'm not even gonna hold you on it. I just don't know what to change the name to, so it's just gonna be the Haters Guide for now, but that's just me. Then I am going to have the Mega Colony Trap House podcast. I'm gonna still do that, as like it's just going to be like me randomly dropping like topics and everything else like that. Just going to be like one go and everything else like that. But I want to also possibly do more of like a live stream thing, so that might get put in as like the live stream thing. I'm not too sure yet. Then as far as new series go, I want to make a series called Losing the 50/50. Losing the 50/50 is pretty much if I have a topic that I'm too much in a gray area into, then I want to explain why I'm in said gray area. Now, of course, like for a prime example, I think the first topic that I'm going to be talking about when it comes to this is the debate on the Universal Beyond system in Magic the Gathering, because I am very inclusive about pretty much that entire thing. So, with all that being said, I think there might be one more series that I might do, but you'll pretty much know if I ever upload it and everything else like that. But for now, I'm glad to be back. Hopefully I can keep this ball rolling, and hopefully, you know, jobs and everything else like that doesn't, you know, interfere with me making content anymore. But with all that being said, my name's Mr. Zoo Nation, aka Savage Armor Jones Giraffa, signing out.